You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Cool, thank you. Let's talk about when it comes to money, all right? Let's talk about money, all right? We have seen, and we've been reporting on HBCUs and the funding issues. For years, we covered the case in Maryland that was recently dealt with, where the legislature finally approved more than $500 million for the 4 HBCUs in Maryland that had been impacted when the state allowed duplicative programs to be created at largely white institutions, hurting those HBCUs. We've covered this in North Carolina, where they were trying to target those HBCUs. I'm from Houston. I've been covering the issues at Texas Southern University and Prairie View A&M University. My next guest was very much involved, the lead attorney for the successful lawsuit in Mississippi that led to a massive multi-million-dollar settlement for the HBCUs there as well. So now there's a new initiative called March to Save Our HBCUs. It will take place on August 14th. One of the folks who, of course, is a leader in that is Attorney Alvin Chambliss. Doc, how you doing?
How you doing, Doc? I'm okay. Correction, $580 million for 3 schools. And
that's Mississippi. That's Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Got it. Sorry, $580 million.
And in Texas, I filed a suit against Texas, the state of Texas, and we got $200 million for Prairie View and $200 million for Texas Southern. That's how Texas Southern got the renovation of law school and other stuff. So $400 million, you know.
So suffice to say, you've been successful at battling these states in the courtroom. The Tennessee state story we just read, where we had a state official on last Friday talking about that state, where a committee determined that Tennessee state had been underfunded almost to the tune of between $150 million up to more than $500 million. That at no point was there equal funding going to Tennessee State University. When it comes to these public HBCUs, is it your perspective that that's been the case for all of them?
Yeah, well, see, you're talking about the Gaia case. It was 4 cases. And let me just, for the record, say that there are 19 states in the District of Columbia that was found in violation of Brown. The 4 states that filed lawsuits was Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. All right. So that means right now, 15 states in the United States are in violation of Brown and Fordyce because they have not desegregated higher education. But it's very difficult to do those kind of cases because you're going to take at least 10, 8, 9, 10 years. That's why in Maryland, they probably could have gotten more, but they ran into the issue of traceability. And traceability, there was a point where Maryland was in compliance, and then it went out of compliance. And so once that broken line, you can't deal with traceability. Then you have to go with intent. You have to file a lawsuit and you have to prove they intended. But see, if you can trace it from Brown, 1954 to right now, an unbroken line, then you don't have no problem because the intent was there when they passed the law.
And Alvin, you have the state legislators who were like, oh, no, we see things now as equal. But the bottom line is, I keep telling everybody, I'm wearing this shirt, where's our money? If you're going to talk about America, you got to deal with the money. We can talk about community. We can talk about all these other different things. No, in America, if you don't deal with the money, you ain't dealing with the real issue.
You're absolutely right. That's why we're calling for this march on August the 14th, 2021, in Jackson, Mississippi, 2 weeks before the March on Washington, August 28th. And let me just give you the three. Let's talk about the money. Alcorn State University this week celebrated its 150th anniversary. It was the first Black law land grant in the country, and it was the 7th land grant coming out of the Land Grant Act of 1862. And of course, let me just tell everybody what land grant means. It means poor white folks can go to college. Prior to the Civil War, only the rich people went to college. They didn't have no poor colleges. And so during the Civil War, they passed in 1862 the Land Grant Act, and they subscription, the whole GI Bill kind of situation but you could go to school, and then once you finish, they would give you so much land so you can, et cetera. Now, at Alcorn right now, let's talk about the budget. The budget for Alcorn is $15 million. The budget for Mississippi State University is $265 million. Let's talk about cooperative extension. There are 17 cooperative extensions in the state. All of them are under the jurisdiction of Mississippi State University. Matter of fact, the one on campus for Alcorn is run by Mississippi State. So with a stroke of the pen, if we bring about 30 or 40,000 people to Mississippi, with a stroke of a pen, Alcorn could get maybe $75 to $100 million because they don't have the matching funds. Okay, now that's one. Jackson State, you got a serious problem there. The way they intend to try to get rid of Deion Sanders, let nobody fool you. Paul was a mom and all them other people. They are angry with Deion coming in and getting them ball players, so they don't take the stadium. Mississippi Medical School.
Now, wait, hold on. Now explain this. When you say they're trying to take the stadium.
Okay, excuse me. All right. Without getting into a lot of detail, when we tried the Ayers case, 2 days before Dr. Lyons of Maryland testified, it was in a big thing in the paper. Everybody agreed. Goodman went to the judge and said, "Judge, in open court now, we don't want the law school. We don't want the stadium. It's a lot of repair. They can have the stadium." Well, the judge says, "Chambliss, did you hear that?" I said, "Yes, sir." Yeah. He said, "Well, we don't have to worry about that issue." 2 days later, Dr. Lyons come. He said they didn't want to be a part of the medical school. He said they didn't want the stadium, too many repairs. They didn't want they didn't want a law school. I mean, what I'm trying to say to so they made in the Jackson State would be the primary tenant and would have veto right of anybody else coming in the stadium. But they did not have a stadium. The stadium belonged to the state of Mississippi. One more thing, Valley State. They closed in Valley State again. At one time, Valley State had close to 5,500 students. They only have 1,400 now. And they come up with a black tax on Mississippi Valley. They didn't increase on the other schools, but the president said, "Will you please give us $100? Let every student pay $100 activity fee to help upgrade Mississippi Valley." I call it the black tax, and because of that, we are marching.
So, and I'm going to go to my panel in a second for some questions here. And so, yeah. Do we have, because I know the firm that worked on the Maryland case, and that was a 13-year battle. Do we have a contingent of lawyers, a particular law firm, an entity that's making it the mission to say, we're going to go to every single state to ensure that every single public HBCU is being properly funded, and if not, we're going to take them to court? What do we need as a community to ensure that we are getting equity for HBCUs?
Well, see, let me just make it very appreciate. That's a good question. In the history of this country, going back to 1619 to now, and people don't want to deal with it, but you've never had a black public interest law firm with status. If you start off by dealing with the NAACP and when they did the cases before Thurgood Marshall, they did not. I went to law school. I wanted to be like Thurgood Marshall. I really wanted to do public interest. I went to legal service 2 years, and of course, I started filing all kinds of applications. The giving community will not give a dime to black lawyers dealing with the law. And it's ironic that $500 million is given. That's how much endowment for Southern poverty. That's more than Howard University. I mean, Lawyers Committee, NAACP Legal Defense Fund, controlled by white folks. Nothing controlled by black. I was talking to Crump the other day. I need to say this. And I said, Crump, at one time I was kind of angry with you because you had to deal with, Morgan. But I understand. You need at least $25 to $30 million investment with 25 or 30 lawyers to tackle this kind of stuff. We just don't have it.
Let me go to our panelists here. I want to bring them in now. Bernarda, you're a lawyer. We'll start with you. Your question for Alvin Chambliss.
The money is the money. The money is definitely the issue. I completely agree with counsel that the problem is that there are no law firms that are dedicated strictly to public interest and looking into making sure that there's equal education for all of us, or that all the laws are being followed by these school systems. That's why they are the way they are. But the problem is that we're not in positions where we can say, even when we graduate from law school, like, yes, I was one of 17 people in a class of 275 at Boston College Law School. So our numbers are so small. And by the time we do graduate from law school, I dedicated myself 16 years of public service. And I am tired of being broke, Roland, so I had to leave. So that's the same problem that we all encounter, the majority of us, is that even though we want to do so much good, it is very difficult because we also have bills to pay. And if we want to have a family, we need to be able to afford it.
Well, let me just say this. The black law school's at risk. Now, 316 was passed, which basically said that if you didn't pass the bar, 75% bar passage within 2 years, then you could be defunded or lose your license accreditation. What I'm basically saying, there's an all-out assault on professionalism, and you need, and I'll be Bonnet now, you need to think, because you don't hear a lot of stuff going on, that these people are not doing the same thing to black colleges as they doing to voter suppression and everything else. So everything is being cut, and black people got to wake up.
Brittany.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing to support HBCUs. It's important work and it needs to be done. And we'll be sure to be at the march in August. But I do have a question for you. So in addition to the march, what do you believe the public, like the general public, can do in addition to the march to support these efforts and continue to ensure the HBCUs are getting their share of the funding, especially if you're not really familiar with what the issues are related to HBCUs?
Well, there's a lot they can do. Now, let's be honest. Maryland, the way they were able to get that decision was they had a black caucus that insisted that was their priority. And, it's in Mississippi, for an example, we have 50-some black legislators, but none of them have really, I'm just being honest, none of them have taken an interest in the ARK. So you need your political force, your legislature, but you all need.
I think Alvin froze, so let me hold on, Alvin. Your Skype froze there, so I want to make sure that we get you. So let me know. Okay, there we go. I think we got him back. Alvin, go ahead. You mentioned the Black Caucus.
I basically said that you needed the legislature. Maryland, they had strong Black caucus. All of them was for Morgan State and et cetera. That cohesiveness is not available in the other states. I'm sorry. But you also need to have activists, parents, students, the clergy. What they can do, the churches can can take the lead. Just think about it now, and I'm gonna shut up right quick, but just think about it. How in the world you think they're gonna have voter suppression? They're gonna have all this voting, but they're gonna let you go to school. In other words, do you think people gonna allow you to have a PhD, but then say you can't vote? In other words, they're cutting back on everything, and people are not. Let me just say this too. My son told me not to say this, Roland. I'm gonna say it any kind of way.
I ain't never known you not to say. You are the Paul. Alvin. You are the Paul Mooney of the legal community. You say whatever come to your mind. So go ahead and say it.
The biggest corporates are these Black college presidents. Okay, now let me just tell you, they are. First of all, you got the state legislature. And the state legislature appoints them. All right. Now, in Jackson, for an example, they got a gentleman. I ain't gonna talk about him, but he went to Ole Miss Law School. That's all he did, and they made him president because he went to Jackson State. Now, he talking about he don't want no stadium. What if the stadium was worth $1 billion? You have not had an appraiser. The state give him $250,000 to do another study. This is the fourth study, all right? And he died. Well, we don't want that state. We're going to build us a state. And the land where the stadium is worth about $350 million. But you don't want it. They will do whatever them white folks tell them to do. And I'm sorry. I believe that students have constitutional right. The state does not have constitutional right, all right? The president doesn't have constitutional right. The constitutional right is in the student. And that's who I represent. So I can say what, and now, Roland, let me make it very, very clear. Now, I'm a pauper. I've suffered, and it's okay. It's okay. I'm all right. But I've suffered. I have not been invited to one Black college in this nation, not even Jackson State, Alcorn Valley. People say I'm toxic because they don't know what I'm going to say. What the hell? Excuse me, Jesus. Forget. Okay.
Alvin, let me explain something to you. See this right here? The show is called Roland Martin Unfiltered. You ain't got to be afraid to say what you want to say. The bottom line is this here. The reality is this here. You are one of the greatest legal minds in this country, and I dare say the preeminent lawyer dealing specifically with HBCUs. It is crazy that a HBCU would not want to invite you. In fact, when I met in North Carolina, Alvin, with the Black Caucus there, when they were trying to fight to save the HBCUs, I specifically gave the North Carolina Black Caucus your phone number. It's crazy. You said that no HBCU has invited you. Look, when it comes to law and HBCUs and funding, ain't nobody at the top of the game than you. In fact, I want to let you know, there's a brother who's putting together a legal team specifically dealing with HBCUs, Alvin. And he sent me a text to tell me what he was doing. And I said, you need to call Alvin Chambliss. And he said, I've enlisted the brother who led the Maryland lawsuit. I said, no, you need to also call Alvin Chambliss. I said, because the Maryland lawsuit's framework was built on the Mississippi case.
But not only that, he's talking about, I hate to say it again, John Britton. John Britton was not lead counsel. He's Black. Okay? He never was lead counsel. Okay? The guy named is Mitchell. Okay? And he was from Lawyers Committee. John was with Lawyers Committee, and now be honest with you, John took the case to the Lawyers Committee for Richardson. But once they got the Lawyers Committee, they put this white boy over there. And of course, they went about 3-4 years. They was getting ready to drop the case because they said it would be bankrupting them. And so they went to Kirkland, and they got Kirkland to finance it. And then that's how they did it.
What? So, and this is, and before I go to Michael with his question, and I did this, and I need people to understand, y'all. This ain't new to me. I knew Alvin. When he was Alvin had gone to TSU. He was sitting there doing some work there. We've crossed paths over the years. And Alvin, when I was down in North Carolina helping to stop the Republicans from shutting down HBCUs, I was in the meeting with the Black Caucus, and they was complaining about funding. I said, y'all need to call Alvin Chambliss, and they were like, who? I said, I need to call Alvin Chambliss. And let me let y'all know how black I am. We in the meeting with the North Carolina people, and they said, who? I said, hold on. Alvin, I'm about to give these folk your phone number for them to call you to help the North Carolina people. I'm just letting you know. And he's like, all right. And they looked at me like I was crazy. I said, I told y'all I don't play. So it's nonsensical that any public HBCU or the alumni, or if they were serious about trying to get HBCUs funded, they wouldn't be calling you.
But they're not serious, Roland. See, I made it very, very clear. I'm not about making Negro presidents rich. And not just the president, but these faculty people too. The faculty senate supposed to be, there's a trinity. It's supposed to be the governor of the state who is, he appoints the board. Then you have the faculty senate. And of course, you have the students and faculty senate. That is the trend. The governor, the president, and the faculty senate. I had a conversation with Carnegie, the new guy by the name of Knowles. He's young, and I just told him, you all messed up this, you all over. And they say they're gonna get it back, but right now the ratings and all this other stuff is at Indiana University, but they're gonna get it back. But black colleges, many times they run, in a sense they're like renegades. And when I say that, God knows I love them, but I'm basically saying that you have to have a system. For an example, in Atlanta, one of my good friends is Willie Ricks, Mikasa. He's the inventor of Black Power, not Stokely, but Willie Ricks. I was there. But every time Willie Ricks go on a black college campus, they arrest him. He can't even go. And you have the Klan, everybody else going there. And that's not right. You have people, well, the president, I'm going to say it, at Howard. Now, they done gave him 3 votes of no confidence. At Harvard, if they think you're talking about a vote of no confidence, they'll come to you. And if you don't resign, in other words, you resign because you're not going to let them do a vote of no confidence. How you going to still be at a school and the faculty give you 3 votes of no confidence? These black schools are running raggedy, and I just told the congregation, I said, look, you need to come with standards. Douglas at the law school, I talked to him. I said, Douglas, James Douglas, he was the dean and he was the president of a while. I say, Douglas, you see these bar passing rates. These people need 4 years. I say, it takes most black folks who, isn't that upper middle class, it takes them 1 year to understand the language of the law. So why can't we have 4? Oh, no, we can't have 4. You can't afford 3. Look, the Carnegie Foundation can come up with a formula for if some people want to go on a 4-year track, go on a 4-year track. These people, they don't want to push the envelope. They don't want solutions. I believe in solutions. That's all I believe in, solutions. I taught a course called Civil Rights Enforcement. Right now, we don't need nothing but people to enforce the law, and you have to have a enforcement mechanism. Because if you don't do this, this is what I'm gonna do. And the streets is one of the best mechanisms in the world.
Michael Imhotep, your question for Alvin Chambliss.
Hello, Attorney Chambliss. This is Michael Imhotep. Thank you for mentioning Brother Africa Mukasa Dada. I've interviewed him, and he's talked about the origins of the Black Power ideology and the term Black Power and the work he did with SNCC. The question I had for you, that's a bad brother right there, man. Mukasa Dada. The question I have for you, what'd you say?
I'm SNCC too now.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Absolutely. Thank you for
we support that radical 60s crowd.
Yes. The question I have for you, you mentioned the Land Grant Act of 1862 and poor whites and going to college and things like this, right? Can you talk more about that, the Land Grant Act of 1862? Because I remember Dr. King in 1968, early 68, doing a speech on economic empowerment and talking about how the land grants help white farmers with their farms and mechanize their farms. And is that Land Grant Act of 1862, is that related to the Homestead Act of 1862?
That's right. That's a part of it. Yeah, Smith leaving later on the Homestead. But here's the thing, man. It's wonderful. See, when Grant offered the black soldiers 40 acres, and what is it, 40 acres in a mule?
That's still number 15.
And already given the white folks that. So it wasn't, but they denied it to black folks. And so, let me just say this, and while I'm here, y'all may not call me back, but I'm glad to be
Alvin, you gonna get called back. You know why? This my shit. I own it.
Okay, I appreciate it. But I want to say this so people will understand. We talk about reparation, and I believe in reparation, but at the same time, I believe that we need to do it in such a matter of fact, like educate. You go to Brown, okay, this week, the 17th, was the 67th birthday of Brown versus Board of Education. Now, when Brown first came out, men doing all that, we said, well, we don't need, why we got to go with white folks, and I was against it. But then later on, I started talking to these judges, and they said, Mr. Chambliss, we got to have a hook. And desegregation, integrate that, that's the hook. And what I guess I'm trying to say is compensatory education. Democratic Party, for example, they're going to talk about free college for everybody. Why the hell are you going to give free college for white folks who are rich? You need to be talking about free colleges for those people who need it. And so all these people talking, but land grant, for an example, let me just say this. Land grant, you have in Mississippi, there are 17 extension stations, all of them on the Mississippi State. You have a cooperative extension service in all 82 counties. Cooperative extension services is in every county in the state or in the nation. Okay, Alcorn don't have none of that. It's a pie in anybody. But now let me be honest with you now. As the lawyer, I'm just going for the audience. We had a gentleman. His name was Fawn from the Justice Department. He did the land grant. And after he got about 15 or 20 minutes into his questioning his witness, Judge Bigger said, Mr. Fawn, he said, I see that you talking about this discrimination and you got this witness. He said, but the discrimination was by the federal government. It wasn't by the state. So I guess what I'm saying is in land grant, Alcorn is established on May the 13th, 1871. Why the heck you gonna make it an 1890 institution? It's ought to be 1862 with the white folks. And we need to force Biden to put it back with the white folks. It needs to have the same, but second-class citizenship. And that's wrong.
Oh, thank you.
Brittany, did you finish asking your question? I know it broke up there. I want to make sure that you finish asking your question to Alvin.
Yeah, I was basically just asking what are the various options that we have as the public to continue to support, his work in this effort to ensure that our HBCUs have the funding that they need and to ensure that they continue to live on for another century.
Well, the first thing we need to do is try to organize. Now, see, I'm trying to organize the right to bring attention to and let me just make it clear that, and again, that y'all please don't, Lord, please don't have mercy on me. You got international warfare that's going on. You have what you call the private black colleges, and you got the public black colleges. The 65 to 70% of all the blacks that's in college go to public black colleges. Okay, but they combine them together, say HBCU, and for the most part, most of the private people was over there with Trump. I'm just telling you, that all that old with that money, with that old brother money and all. And I guess what I'm trying to say is right now, you used to have an organization called NAFIO, the National Association Equal Education Opportunity. There's a young lady by the name of Leslie Backerville. She's there, but again, there have been some issues. And so now, okay, it used to be the Thurgood Marshall Fund. It's private now. It used to be for public, but they take anybody because they took the Koch brother money and they told Koch we'll do all. So right now, it's not for public. It's for everybody. And everybody, I'm going to say the truth, that everybody's angry with them because they have gotten $100 million and they're trying to get the next $100 million, and they want to be self-fulfilled prophecy. They no longer giving money like the United Negro College Fund.
So
we need Black Lives Matter. That's what we need them to come in and help us. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of folks don't like them. I love them because they're young folk. And, look, man, how you going to... The gentleman up there in South Carolina, Jamie lost because defund the police. If they going to march, they do what they want to do. He lost because he lost. And, I love Black Lives Matter. If we can get a coalition with them and some of the energetic people can help us get together. And I think that we can put pressure on the foundation and the giving. Every black college in this nation ought to have at least $100 million, okay, in endowment. They're giving all kinds of money, but they don't give it to black colleges. And of course, now let me be honest now, with the black colleges, sometimes you have to do like they did, the gentleman, he did a good job in Howard, in as much he cut some of these programs, he had to cut some of them, and then refinance. My point is, you have to know when to hold and when to fold.
You absolutely right on that one, Alvin Chambliss. I told you when I saw you in Baytown last week, Alvin was like, man, I want to get this out. He was talking. I said, Alvin. I said, I don't answer nobody. I just put you on the show next week.
I appreciate it, man.
That's why
and let me just say to you, all y'all, I'm happy to be here, and the thing that come to my mind, please give me the 2 minutes.
Go ahead. No, Alvin, you go. You got it. Go. Ain't nobody gonna interrupt you. Go.
It's Invictus out of the night that calls me, knocking the pit, hold the poor. I thank the Lord wherever he may be. Out of the strange circumstances, I have not cried out loud, but in the flush of leaving, my head is bloody, but unbowed. And so I look at everything and I say that no matter how straight the gate, I am the and I don't care what punishment you have on the scroll. But I am the captain of my faith, and I'm the master of my soul. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it the same way on a little time sooner.
And that's when the church say amen. Alvin Chambliss, I ain't never done this, Alvin. Normally when we do a 5-box, normally I'm in the center and I put the guests in the smaller box with the panelists. But you see, you were preaching so much, I had to put you in the big box. That's what you got, the big piece of chicken. Alvin Chambliss, brother, I appreciate it. The March to Save HBCUs, August 14th. Where is it going to take place? What city?
Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi. Alvin, I'm gonna check the schedule, and if it all lines up, we will be there to live stream in Jackson, Mississippi on August 14th, the March to Save HBCUs. My brother, I appreciate it.
They say it could be done, but we're gonna do it.
All right.
No money, just Jesus in the spirit. That's all we have, but that's all we need.
Yes, sir. Alvin Chambliss, I appreciate it, my brother. Thanks a lot. Thanks, sir. Brittany, Michael, Bernardo, I certainly appreciate y'all joining us on today's panel. Thank you so very much for being with us. That's a hot way to close out a great week. Thank you y'all so very much for being with us, y'all. Man, that was fire. I see y'all comments on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Y'all lit too. They trying to ask where to pass the collection plate. So we appreciate that. Well, one place you can pass a collection plate is right here, because here's the deal. Ain't no other show going to give you what you just got with that much heat and that much time. That's why we do Roland Martin Unfiltered. We ain't asking nobody opinion. We black owned, we black controlled, we black operated, we black focused. And so y'all can join our Bring the Funk fan club. Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in black-owned businesses, the black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.